Okay, let me in fact take that to Ambassador Bhashpati Mukherjee as well, former diplomat who's also live with us now. Ambassador Mukherjee, a meeting, of course, which lasted for about 2 to 3 hours in Alaska, had the world watching with keen anticipation. How do you see the fallout of this meeting on this potential peace deal? No ceasefire yet, no official deal yet, but do you see it, coming nearer with what has transpired in Alaska?
I think in this meeting, Putin has emerged as the clear victor. He got into Trump's car on the tarmac. The body language was very interesting. He has always been insisting that there should be a peace agreement and no ceasefire. He got what he wanted. That's exactly what he wanted. Moreover, as we should know to our cost, after 1962, Uday, history has demonstrated that peace deals are never kind to those who've lost the war. We never got back what we lost in 62. I don't see Ukraine getting back anything that it has lost. I think the peace deal will freeze the actual line of control. It will be called the line of control. This conflict started because NATO and the European Union defied the agreements, the clear agreements that had been negotiated after the end of the USSR, on the basis of which it was decided that there would be no NATO frontline state whose weapons would be like a dagger into the Russian heart. That is the way Gorbachev said it, not Putin. After that, those clear agreements, the Minsk Accords, etc., they were blatantly violated. First, by giving NATO agreement, NATO membership to the Baltic states, and then imagining that the Russians would keep quiet when Ukraine became a NATO state, while it was very clear that Ukraine did not have the credentials either to become a EU member state or a NATO member state. This was clear from the beginning. This was just posturing, but it was very dangerous posturing when you try to pull the tail of a giant polar bear. You pull it too hard, this is what you get. And under those circumstances, now we are in a situation where clearly President Trump, he wants this deal, this peace deal. This will definitely get him the Nobel Peace Prize. Nobody can stop him. If he gets this deal through, it's through. And what does Zelensky have to give in return? He's been defeated. His term is over. And his argument that the peace deal has to be ratified by the Ukrainian parliament, which is true, doesn't hold true when you've lost a war. You've lost a war. You're in no position to do anything. And you are completely dependent on United States for money and weapons because your so-called European Union partners, as Audit correctly pointed out, they have just talked and talked. They caved in to Trump's threat of sanctions, leaving emerging economies like Brazil and India watching with awe and surprise at the manner in which they caved in. A whole group of highly developed countries just caved in to Trump's threat on sanctions, as Japan did, but as India has not. There are many lessons actually to be drawn from all these ongoing politics. And one of them is a great disappointment that the European Union, that one would have thought is a great power, has demonstrated that because it is completely dependent on US for security against Russia, they will, as Audit says, for their domestic constituencies, keep talking, but that's it. They are not going to help Zelensky. And Zelensky is in very great danger of being thrown under a bus, which is exactly what happens to peace deals being made with a president who has lost a conflict and who has also finished his term and who needs to face new elections. So I think that out of this, Uday, Putin has emerged as the winner. And it was very interesting the way he said in English at the press conference that the next meeting will be in Moscow. Why did he say that? Because he knows Zelensky will never come to Moscow.
And interestingly, he said this in English. He said this in English as well, which again is not very is not very common for the Russian president. Now, Ambassador Bhashpati Mukherjee, on Zelensky now, there is that meeting between Zelensky and Trump on Monday. What are your expectations from that meeting?
Well, I hope that President Putin will treat Zelensky with courtesy, because one of the meetings they had was so unfortunate that I was horrified. A president of a sovereign country must be treated with dignity. But I don't see anything except Zelensky agreeing, because Zelensky has no cards on his side. He has got a pack of totally unreliable EU allies who have all caved in any case, to Trump on sanctions, and who are totally dependent on Trump for security against Russia. And what does he have in return? The only thing he has in return is that Ukraine has been able to sit on a little bit of Russian territory. He can perhaps argue that he wants to hang on to that territory. If they're going to freeze it the way it is, then he will get 10% of Russian territory in return for losing 22.5% of Ukrainian territory. And as I think Audit pointed out, the undignified spectacle of the Putin and Trump dividing up the uranium and the rare minerals, etc., between themselves, because that's how great powers behave when small countries lose conflicts that have been forced upon them because of big power politics. Zelensky should have known better than to have pulled the big polar bear's tail so hard. He should have backed off. When there was time to back off, he did not back off. He put too much of faith, as Audit said, in his EU allies, not realizing, perhaps not being a student of European history, that in times of conflict, EU has caved in again and again and again.
How would the